Hey everybody. So, in conclusion, for our Safe Space Sunday here, it didn't feel very safe or very special, did it? Well, it might have been special, but not very safe. But it was a candid discussion, and I'm glad we had it, and we will continue to have such discussions about fundamental things, about fundamental things in our lives. And I hope that people do feel free to discuss these things amongst each other, especially with people who may disagree. But the reason that we've created this idea of a safe space, and the idea, I think that the reason that we do these things, and the reason that we create this concept and this overreaching concept, is not that it's alien to either the left or the right, or it's alien to either one group or another group. The concept has changed a little bit. Wording has changed. But I think the concepts are foundationally the very same as they've always been. We call things safe spaces. We have the word safe space, but what people really look for is a home. That's what people want. People want home. They want some place that they can call home. They want a group of people that they can get together with and expose themselves for who they really are, to talk with candor, to talk and be open with who they are as a person. That's what people strive for. That's what people want. But at the same time, people, get worried about other people and what they believe them to be, and they get worried about the theater of the outside world. Because the outside world is a theater. And we call the theater a safe and special place, but the world is a theater. Our world is a theater. We go out there and we do our day-to-day to help human society along. We put on our straight face, we put on our boots, we put on our jackets. We go out there and we express ourselves in a way that moves us forward in our day-to-day tasks. But we hurt sometimes. We have emotions, we have feelings. We sometimes feel that we're pulling our weight while others are not. We sometimes feel that even though we gave it our all, even though we're pushing as hard as we can, there's subversive and harmful elements out there that, whether it be fate or whether it be conspiracy or whether it be other things, whether other people conspiring or whatever, we feel that those things hold us back, and that the world is cruel, and it's a cruel place that, despite everything and every chance that we get to move forward, we keep getting pushed back. And that's not something that is unique to any race, gender, identity of any kind. Everyone feels that. Everyone feels the sting of life at some point, and feels that even though they give it their all, and even though they try their damnedest, they still can't make headway. And they get angry about it. And we just want to have a place to call our own. And sometimes that very place, our very own home, feels threatened. And a lot of people who are young, who use the term safe space, are obviously not. We mature slower and slower as our life expectancy has grown over the past generations. We have seen maturity happen at a slower and slower rate. I mean, I'm a 30-year-old man wearing a freaking kangaroo costume. Not to break the candor, but that's the whole thing. We want to break the candor. We want to break this whole thing about having to be professional and super serious and not have fun with things all the time. We want to have fun with things. We want to have spirit. We want to be in good spirits. We want to be in good spirits with those around us. We just want to have that. But human beings are limited. We're limited by the bandwidth of social interaction that we can have. You cannot interact with everyone. You cannot experience what everyone has experienced. You cannot be omnipotent, because human bandwidth is limited to the amount of time. And even if you were immortal, even if you personally were an immortal man, you could not meet everybody on this planet with enough time to meet everyone before they met their own demise. So that's the tragedy of our existence, is that we can try to reach out to others to understand them more, but we can never understand everyone. And everyone of every race and color and creed is different in their own way. They have different experiences. They grew up in different places. Some of us share a lot of the thing is, like, this is why family is really important in many aspects, is that they're the ones we're closest to. They're the ones that we share the most with, because we've lived most of our lives with them, with our parents, with our siblings. And that is something that a lot of people want to, feel are ripped from them from political things such as this. And this is it's the hardest thing about this whole election process and this whole political thing, is that we each through our own experiences have different ideas of where we want to see the world go for different varying reasons. And some of us say that family is stronger, and that despite our political differences we can come together and get things done. But others can't do that. And to those who can't do that, I think that this idea of a safe space is even more prevalent. I think if you find somebody who's really hard on finding a safe space, trying to find a safe space, and I'll show you someone whose family has probably abandoned them, or might have even lost them. Just a theory. As I said, human experience is limited to the bandwidth. So, in my mind, that makes the most sense. But it might be wrong. There might be somebody who has a very tight-knit family who also believes in safe spaces. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that the idea of the safe spaces of the home, and to millions and millions and millions of people, the United States of America is their home. And to many millions and millions of people out there, more, maybe billions, another country is their home. And the idea of the safe space shouldn't be lost on people of the right or the left, because everyone believes in them. Everyone wants a place to call home. Everyone wants a place where they can let off their shoes at the end of a hard day and just be themselves. And whether you are of the right or of the left or of the social justice warrior or not, I think that everyone should have the right to have a home. Everyone should have the right to a home. Everyone should have the right to having a place to call their own, or having, even if it's rented, whether it's owned, doesn't matter, or whether it's with somebody or without. Having a home and having some place to belong to is a goal that everyone should strive. Is a goal not that everyone should strive for, but a goal that we should strive to have for everyone. And to me, I think this whole idea of the whole safe space thing kind of bleeds into that, because the right get worried about the outside world just as much as the left does. This whole Second Amendment holding your guns thing, it's ironic, but I think a lot of people on the left might understand it better, like when they think about the outside world trying to come in and intermingle with their lives in a more brutal and abusive way when people on the right wing are in power, same as vice versa. And so the idea of protection and protecting those rights via whatever means, through words or through threat of using your Second Amendment rights, etc. The left uses the First Amendment rights as their weapon. The people on the right might more lean towards the Second Amendment, but both want to use to ensure their safe spaces. And this is the concept that I think that a lot of people don't understand, is that safe spaces, in order to maintain a safe space, in order to maintain a home, there are people who have to risk in order to maintain that. Because there are people there are people out there who might try to abuse those things. And because they do, other people have to step in to check and balance them. Other people have to step in and sacrifice. Whether it be through political exposure and pointing out the wrongdoings and stuff like that of those in power, whether they be government or private organizations, or like reporters, or whether it be the more physical, such as military. Like if somebody tries to, if another country tries to take another country's rights away, and they use military force in order to try and enforce those rules, or even at a local level, police, police people, people who are police officers and individuals who, make sure that individuals aren't wronging one another when it comes to, trying to steal or harm or do unjust things to their safe spaces. Safe spaces aren't free. They're not things that just exist in this world. And I think it's something that a lot of people take for granted, is that there are people out there who have to maintain the idea of a safe space. Because without safety, without feeling safe, safety is a fundamental human psychological need. It's not a want. It's not a something that people want. It is something that people need. Safety is something that people need to exist. We need to have rules, we need to have regulations, we need to have understanding of the rules and stuff around us and how chemical and biological systems work in order to maintain a homeostasis and safety within our own homes, within other things. We have to understand how electricity works. We have to understand why you don't put forks near an outlet. You need to understand like a bunch of things. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be understood in order to make your home safe from not only outside things, but from it destroying itself, from the roof collapsing, from things like that. There's a lot of things that go into making a home or a place of, a home or a place or anywhere safe. It takes a lot of different things interacting with one another. And those efforts take effort. And that, in essence, is the thing that should be respected. It's the thing that should be, for those who do that, they are the ones who deserve the most praise. Not just individuals in the top of the government, not just people who, speak and talk and stuff like that and talk the talk, but the people who walk the walk, the people who get out there, who work their butts off to keep the infrastructure going, to maintain people's health, to maintain their safety and their comfort. There's a lot of as we get tighter and tighter with our budgets, as we're working with less and less, people work harder and harder for less and less, and a lot of thanks is needed for those kind of things. And I think that safe spaces are well and good, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to maintain them. And don't ever think it's for free, because there's a lot of cost and a lot of effort into making, our places safe and stuff like that. There's a lot of people out there who don't have those kind of luxuries. There's a lot of people out there who come into the place and they feel exposed because they don't feel like they have a place to call their own. Even if they own a property, they might own a property but they might still feel that they're not welcome in their community, they're not welcome around them. And to those, people out there, it's a hard thing, but keep working at it. And know that you'll find somebody out there who will look out for you. And I hope that you find those people. Because whether we're on the right or the left, we want to feel like we want to feel like people will accept us for who we are, for whatever silly beliefs or whatever silly things we do, whatever our vices and can't our quirks are. Because I got quite a quirk here, all right. So, but you'll find people, and I mean, but there's a lot of people who will take advantage of your quirks as well, and I think that's what I'll conclude on is going off on this tangent. Be careful of those who would want to accept you for who you are, but will exploit you to do so. Because I believe that has been one of the biggest issues that's happened, particularly in the areas that mostly voted for Trump this election season. And this one kind of goes out to you folks in the Rust Belt particularly. I've taken the train to MFF a few times, and it is pretty... I've seen the area near the train tracks, and they can get pretty disparaging. It can seem very unsafe, but it's your home, and it might seem like it's falling apart around you, but you got to fight it. You know what I mean? You got to fight it. There are a lot of people out there who would try to get you to get out of escapism, whether it be the mostly harmless escapism of video games or the more harmful escapism as alcohol, drugs, and, alcohol, drugs, Oxycontin, those things. There are individuals out there who would exploit you in your safety and life in order to make money for themselves, in order to make a better, more comfortable life for themselves, and somehow turn off that morale switch in their brain that in order to maintain their safety and their home, they're harming the homes and safety of others by exploiting them, by exploiting the chemical triggers in their brain to desire escape from the world in which they live, from the pain. And I think through numbing our pain through our drugs, we've become numb to pain and emotion, just as a lot of people have become numb to this kind of things. And to those who are out there who are dealing with those kind of addictions, I hope that, I really, really think that we really ought to start dealing with that as a country, because I think that the exploitations of the wish to escape the misery of where we are helps, doesn't help us fight our way out of it, because we do need to fight our way out of the harsh and things and our realities. And the government, I think people in government, people in power, people in private industry need to help those as well, but as well individuals in places where they feel safe. If you feel comfortable and you feel like you have a safe space, and you feel like you're fine, and it's like, I'm fine, I'm comfortable where I am, reach out to some, we need to try to, if not coordinate and help people out of their places to those who are feeling unsafe, no matter their race, no matter their religion, no matter their creed. This has been a little somber. This is a somber conclusion, and especially compared to the critiques on the left or the right. But what I'm saying is that we need to pin ourselves together, because without a safety pin doesn't work unless all the parts work. And so it's like we can wear a pin on our thing, on our chest all we want, but it is our actions that we need to take that will determine whether or not we're successful. And we shouldn't wait upon any government, whether that government be controlled by a Democrat or by a Republican. We shouldn't wait on the government to make a better place for everyone. We should not wait upon the government. We should look to each other. We should look to the good of one another. And to those who do the most good, I think we need to promote that and create create bridges for those to make their own safe spaces, but not isolate themselves from the world, from people of differing opinions, and people who, we need to be a little uncomfortable every once in a while. We need to leave our comfort zone of our own ivory towers and get out there and experience more. And when we do that, if we challenge ourselves to do that, perhaps others will challenge themselves to do it. Not everyone will. Some people, whether they on the left or the right, will want to stay in their isolated bubbles and wall everything off and create their own walls, even while mocking people who want to make physical ones. Or not. But the physical wall cannot exist without the mental wall. And that's just how it is. You can't have a physical manifestation of a wall exist without a psychological wall being, ingrained in us in some sort of way. So the only way to ever defeat the wall is to defeat the walls within ourselves. I have them. You have them. Everyone has them. The hardest thing to do is to fight and break through them. Is to abandon the idea that everyone needs to feel safe at all times, because the only way to learn more about the world is to go into places and to go into things that you don't have any knowledge of. And not having knowledge of it is scary. It is it's one of the scariest things I've experienced a lot in my tenure, as I've been working through my way through the ladder. There's a lot of things I don't understand, and the things that I don't understand are scary, which is why I become a quick study and learn things really quickly so that things are less scary to me. Because if things are scary to me because I don't understand them, you got to learn to understand things really quickly in order to not be afraid of them. But that rambling conclusion aside, I am not pro-safe space. I'm not anti-safe space. I can understand and empathize with the idea that we want to see our fellow brothers and sisters feel comfortable with their surroundings. We want to be good housekeepers. We want to be good homekeepers, people, and have people feel respected and safe within our things. But people are going to interact with each other. We all have our own bandwidth and biases, and we need to understand that interacting with them is going to create conflict, especially if their ideas of the future are different. But it's always not up to the individual to solve everything. We need to work together in order to know our own, hear the fears of people and try to consolidate them in ways that make them less afraid of the world in general. That they don't fear that they'll be limited by regulations in personal ways that could harm and affect them as a human being or affect their spirit. And we'll succeed and we'll fail in creating in creating a place where people can feel comfortable. But something's got to change, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, is that something's got to change where we don't have to have elections where, half of the people feel uncomfortable with the government because of the way it's being run. Or half of the people have to feel unsafe because of the government of how it's being run. We shouldn't have to have half of the people afraid for the safety of the other half. We've got to find ways to make the whole. We've got to find ways to make the system whole again, or we're just going to become more isolationist within ourselves. And that can be no good. And I think at the end of the day, I think the whole safety pin idea is that we need to expose ourselves. We can't just say that we can't just say in private that we support people anymore. You can't just go, well, I support the ideas of this idea, I support the ideas of unity and stuff like that. You can't just say it in private anymore. You have to get out there and say that we support one another as human beings and that we support each other in good character. Because those who seem to support division and separating us into groups of ethnic groups are getting out there and speaking their mind too. And so, at the end of the day, I think unity will overcome, as it always does. It is never easy. It's always a struggle. as Jon Stewart said during his one interview, like, what we have here is not natural. Tribalism is natural. And having a diverse and trying to strive for diversity where everyone is equal and everyone's treated the same is an unnatural thing that we're fighting for. It is not a natural thing in order of things. The natural order of things is having close connections and social networking and having race and things have bias over whether or not you get positions or not. Those are natural things in psychology, is biases like that. And fighting against that is always a struggle, and everyone will have failures and successes against those things. But here's to trying to make more successes in that. Here's to the struggle that we will face every day and for probably the rest of our lives and the rest of our children's lives and the rest of our children's children's lives. It'll always be here, and we'll always have to fight the good fight, but never give up on it. Because a safe space, to create safety for other people is never safe. Some people have to expose themselves to the elements to make a better place for others. And to those people, you have my fullest support and my fullest thank yous. So, thank you very much for watching. And have a good one. I hope we talked about something sillier next week. Hopefully we'll talk about something sillier. But that's where I'm going to conclude it at. So, thank you for watching this series of videos. Kick that like, kick the subscribes, kick a comment down in the comment section. This is a long one. This is a long series. Thank you for sticking with it the whole way. And I probably said a bunch of stuff where I was hypocritical to myself, but that's human nature too. So, anyways, silliness aside, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.